So we're talking about stakeouts and anchor and all that kind of stuff. We're going to get on to that. All right. You're not always going to be drift fishing. So, you know, you're going to get into some spots where you need to anchor in. Well, how are you going to do that, right? I mean, you need some kind of spots. You can have cleats like this on your kayak, you know, just anything like that. Here's the deal with anchor points, okay? Anchor points on a kayak, if you're going to go that route, they need to be in one of two positions. They either need to be in front of your knees, or they need to be behind your back. And the reason why is because if you're out there and the tide's running real hard and you're anchored up on the side, like if you use this position right here, it's no, you don't want to have one right there. If you use that position and you anchor up, it's going to pull you side see. And if it's anything to the water, you can swamp fast, and you create a dangerous situation for yourself. And if you're out there fishing, you know, the last thing you need is a dangerous situation. If you're going to put anchor points on there, like I said, just put them either behind your back or in front of your knees, and that'll camp your kayak enough in the water that you're fishing in where you don't take that side seat. So that's the thing. What I like to use, because I don't really care for anchor points, I like to keep things, move things around a bit, because I use an anchor trolley. You see, this kayak don't have an anchor trolley on it at the moment, but it's fixing to have one on it. Anchor trolley is a simple thing. It's not a whole lot to it. It's a piece of rope. I've got this piece of rope run through 2 pulleys. It could be run through 2 carabiners or anything like that attached to the side of the kayak. What I've done is I've made the anchor trolley option on this kayak. You go camping or something like that, you don't need no anchor trolley. If you go down the river, you don't want that thing snagging on bushes and trees while you're trying to get down the escatop. So I made an option. I've got a clip on the stern and a clip on the bow up here. When you put an anchor trolley in, you got to have somewhere to put your rope. I've got 2 pad eyes, one on the bow, one on the stern, and that's what the clips are attached to. I take an anchor trolley, just clip it into place like so. I have a lot of spare time on my hands too. I kind of mess out the one where I come up with scratch. Okay. Alright. Now, on an anchor trolley, like I said, it's nothing more than 2 pieces of rope run through. You know, on an anchor trolley, you have to have an anchor point. Just like on having an anchor point on the side of your kayak, you got to have an anchor point on an anchor trolley. It could be something like this, a nylon ring. You could use a carabiner. Instead of that, you can take and just tie a loop in your rope that you got on the side of your kayak and use that, but you got to have an anchor point. The whole thing is when you attach your anchor or something to it, if you want to anchor off the bow, you anchor it off the bow. You just pull it up there. Want to anchor off the stern, same thing. You just pull it right there. And if you want to get crazy and anchor side seat, there you go. You can get crazy with it. Yeah, what we use to anchor in, you can use a stakeout pole, which we'll talk about, or you can use an anchor. When you go out there and you buy your anchor, don't go out there and buy one of these little video things that throw on the bottom of these duck decoys or something like that. That ain't going to hold you worth a flip, I promise you. You need to get you something a little more substantial. This is a 3-pound anchor. I don't suggest a 2-pound anchor. This is a gravel type anchor. This thing, I like to get the most out of everything I bring. So this actually has a couple functions to it. You can use this as a standard grapple anchor. Open it up, tuck that puppy out there, and you anchor it in. You can follow this up, and before you leave the launch that day, you can grab you a piece of driftwood or something like that. It's got this handy dandy lock up here. You can grab you a piece of driftwood or something and wedge in there. It keeps that anchor locked in place like this. And now you're creating a drag anchor. So if you want to just slow down your drift, you know, if you were hauling butt fishing down a bank and you want to slow down your drift, there you go. Now you've got your drag anchor and a grapple anchor. So you get multi-function out of it. You can toss it out there and use it. So what do we use for anchor rope? Well, that's another thing what I meant to say was the anchor. When you buy an anchor, the thing is you need something that is going to hold the kayak's weight, your weight, and all the gear that you bring. It has to hold all of that. So that's why you make sure you buy something that'll work like that. Grapple anchor is much better. You don't want to go out there and buy a 20-pound mushroom anchor. You don't need something like that. You just, about 3 pounds, that's all I've ever needed, and I fished some of the craziest water that I had no business fishing with this anchor right here. Anchor, you don't need to go out there and buy you a whole spool of 1/2 inch. You don't need that, but you need something that will hold you. 550 paracord that you pick up at Academy Bass Pro Shops. I think you can even buy it at Walmart now. That's all you gotta have, man. It's 550 paracord, and you need a place to store your paracord. What I've done here, this is a dog training dummy from Bass Pro Shops. Okay, and it serves multiple functions. Like I said, I like to get everything out of my stuff. All right, I'm able to wrap my rope around it. I wrap my rope around it. Just take a couple of Velcro straps and put it around it, and it's there. It's not really a whole heck of a lot to it. I mean, that's it. That's my rope storage right there. Pull that off of there. Pull off much line as I want. That looks like one. Just strap the rope back in place. And you say, well, what do you do with the rest of the rope? What do you do? How do you attach it? Well, got a couple solutions for that too. All right, this one here, I took a double-sided carabiner from my it's like $2 at Lowe's, and stuck it through my dummy. All right, you can take your rope and you can wrap it through that carabiner 3 times. Rope's locked in place and ain't going nowhere. Okay, and that carabiner serves multiple purposes. You can take it, just clip it on your anchor trolley, and you're good to go. If you don't really want to do that, there's a more traditional way of doing things. And I've got this handy cleat up here on the side up here. So what you do, the more traditional way of anchoring in with an anchor trolley, so you can get away from it quick, is to take your line, pull it through your anchor point on your anchor trolley, go up here to your cleat, your attachment point, wrap around there a couple times, and you're good to go. So now, when you're out there and you're on a 40-pound black drum that's just bearing down on you, spooling you, and you need to get loose from where you anchored in, all you have to do is undo your line. It'll slide right back out the hole. If you were smart enough to put a handy dandy something on there, on the end of this thing, hold your line that floats, you can go back and get it. So that's solutions to those problems. Stakeout pole. I prefer a stakeout pole, but a stakeout pole is not the end-all be-all of anchoring in a kayak. This is a power pole for kayaks. It's call it the manual model. The way I feel about a stakeout pole is go big or don't bother. The whole thing is, you want to be everything you put on a kayak, you need to be able to get the most out of it when you put it on there. You need to be able to use it for multiple things, because you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in. This thing right here, it's only good up to about 7 foot of water. It's an 8-foot pole. It's only good for about 7 foot of water, but it doesn't work in all water under 7 foot. When I fish around Dolphin Island and places like that, I got to use the anchor. The water, the bottom's too sandy, and this thing just won't grab it. I've got a few bottoms that I fish that are really hard bottoms, and this thing just won't go in it. That's when that anchor comes in. Now I fold my anchor up, and I keep it on me at all times. I've got it inside the kayak. Okay, so I've always got it with me regardless. This thing, I take it with me when I think I'm going to need it, and I'll use it way more than I did the anchor. One of the other functions of this thing is, say, other than just using it for a good old stakeout, say you're fishing around some docks and you got that big, great bombing cast over there, that puppy's going to land right on that dock. And it's going to hook up, and you're going to, man, how am I going to get my lure? We'll paddle over there to the dock and fish her right away. And that might save that $10 Paul Brown lure that you just slung up there on that dock. So it's multifunctional. One this size, you can use for a push pole if you're skinny enough water. You just pole right along. And like I said, you got a thing like this back here. Pole along, have it over the side. Stick it in the hole when you're done. That'll stop your kayak. You can use this in the anchor point on the trolley. You can take and run a rope. There's sometimes we're all run a rope off of this thing and attach like this. And by the time you get all these options happening, you can position this kayak any way you want to on the water. Especially with the combination of anchor trolley, an anchor, and a stakeout pole. You can kick that sucker any way you want to kick it. Storage for this thing, I've got a couple clips on the side of this thing over here, and it just snaps in place over there. If I feel like that's in my way sometimes, might be in the way of my anchor trolley, I always got my handy dandy paddle holder that I don't use over here. And it just slides right in place over here, goes out of the way. Plenty of storage for that too. I can, if I'm pulling around with it and want to, stick it in the bow up here. Got these paddle holders up here. I can stick it there. I got a place for it. Ain't no doubt about it. And that is stakeout pole.